Hi everyone, welcome. For today's video, I thought I would share with you what I read in January. I read 3 physical books. The rest of the books I read on my Kindle. I read Binding 13 and Keeping 13 by Chloe Walsh. And by read, I mean reread because I already read this series once before. Let me just say that I'm only rereading this series because it decided to be very gloomy and cold. And I feel like that's perfect weather to read very sad books and just wallow in your own sadness and just have a good cry session. If you're gonna read the series, definitely search up trigger warnings because there are some very hard topics to read about in this series. This is one of my all-time favorite series of all time. If I could be buried with, that sounds a bit morbid, but if I could, I would definitely want to be buried with this series just because it means so much to me, and I love all of the characters in this series, and it's very found family. I love when books have found family. It makes the connection so much deeper. So yeah, you should definitely read this series if the trigger warnings don't scare you. The next book I read is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This book follows Nora, and she is a literary agent. Her sister wants her to go on a vacation with her. Because her sister is pregnant, she wants to go on a vacation with Nora, and Nora agrees to go to this small town. Charlie is the MC and he is an editor. Nora and Charlie had a meeting for one of Nora's clients and it did not go very well, so Nora has been avoiding him and hasn't talked to him for a very long time. And when she goes to this small town, little does she know that she's going to bump into him. It's so cute, funny, and the banter that they have is so good. It shouldn't even be surprising that the banter is so good because it is Emily Henry, and I would rate this a 4.85 out of 5 stars. Now for the books that I read on my Kindle, obviously I'm gonna have it out with me because I don't remember all of the books that I read on here. You know how I told you in the previous video, if you watched it, that the cat and mouse duet you know how I told you in the previous video that the cat and mouse duet traumatized me and that I had to read fluffy romance for a while just to cope with what I had read? I delved into the dark romance universe, and let me just say, I don't think I'm going to ever hop off of this train unless I read something like the cat and mouse duet again. I'll probably hop off for a little bit and then get right back on it. So for the first dark romance series that I read, it was the Legacy of Gods series by Rena Kent, and I read all 5 of the books. I'm gonna look at it, but it's God of Malice, God of Pain, God of Wrath, God of Ruin, and God of Fury. I literally ate this series up and left no crumbs because it was that good and I was obsessed with the whole universe. I know she has a bunch of other series and I definitely should have started with those before reading this, but I learned about it too late and now here we are. But I will definitely check out the other series that she has because I love her writing so much. This book follows Killian and Glyndon. Let me just start by saying that the very first 2 chapters of this book, you're gonna be like, no, I am not gonna read this anymore, because that's exactly how I was. I was literally going to DNF it. But if you ignore that and you push through it, then I feel like you'll definitely enjoy this series. But you just gotta get past the first 2 chapters, even though what happened there was very questionable, but I'm telling you, once you get past it, you're gonna be addicted. Killian is a psychopath and he has antisocial behaviors, so he doesn't feel anything. There was an initiation to their club and you can only go if you are invited to it, and Glyndon got a text that she was invited. So this girl goes and Killian obviously knows that it's her. Even though everyone is wearing a mask, he can tell that it's her, and he gets her eliminated on purpose and tells her that she's not going to be a part of their club. He's very possessive of her and also obsessed, and that's pretty much the gist of this book. I would rate this one a 4.25 4.25 out of 5. The next book is God of Pain. This one is a grumpy sunshine romance, and it follows Creighton and Annika. She has a very bubbly personality and is very friendly, talks to everybody, and Creighton is very reserved and doesn't really speak as much. It's hard for her to get him to say even one word to her. That doesn't stop her from trying. I would give this one a 3.75. I wasn't as obsessed with this book as I was with God of Malice. So the next book is God of Wrath. This one is an enemies to lovers book, and it follows Jeremy and Cecily. Jeremy is a mafia prince. Cecily is a very quiet girl. Cecily is the mother of her group of friends, and she's always taking care of them. She went in as a spy to look at the blueprints of their land and to relay this information to somebody else. But this was one of my favorite ones out of the series. In the initiation, they chase you through the forest with their mask. If I were to be in the initiation, then I would definitely want Jeremy. This is so me over here. I would definitely want Jeremy to be the one to chase me. I would give this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars. The next book is God of Ruin. It follows Landon and Mia. Landon is also a psychopath and he has antisocial tendencies, but they're much worse than Killian's. Killian is the one from the first book, God of Malice. I was kind of anxious to read his book just because he has been mentioned in all of the previous books and they all make him out to be such an asshole that I was like, ooh, I don't really know if I even want to read this book. But it caught me by surprise. He is also a mafia prince. Mia is a mafia princess and she is such a badass and can hold her own, isn't afraid of anything. She knows how to fight, and I feel like her and Landon made such a good pairing. There's a clay scene in here that left me speechless, and I enjoyed reading this book as well. I would rate this one a 4.3 just because it was very surprising. The last book is God of Fury and it is an MM. So Nikolai is a mafia heir and he is seen as someone who is very violent. He doesn't think about the consequences. He just jumps in and whatever happens, happens. And he is very much a golden retriever energy, and people see him as this big badass tattooed guy, but he's literally such a softie on the inside. Brandon is he's very quiet, artistic, and is seen as the golden boy because his twin is literally Landon from the previous book, and he, like I said, is a psychopath and has antisocial tendencies, and his twin Brandon is literally the opposite of him. But when I tell you that I think about this book every single day, I mean, I think about this book literally every single day, and it's going to live rent-free in my head for the rest of my life. And if you catch me reading this book anytime throughout the whole year and it's in a reading wrap-up, mind your business, because it's literally that good. They are literally everything to me, like everything. I read the Devil's Night series. I didn't read the first 2 books. I read the last 2 books, which is Killswitch and Nightfall. This series was a little bit unhinged. At least Killswitch definitely was unhinged. So let me just tell you this. Winter sent Damon to prison, and when Damon gets out, he wants revenge on her. And what does this man do? Are you ready for this? When Damon gets out of prison, he got rid of her dad, and since her dad was the one with all of the money, he decides to marry her sister so that she would be tied to him for however long he wanted that marriage for. And so Winter's mom, her sister, and her are literally tied to this man because they have no money, and he has the keys to their house because he married her sister. He wants revenge because she was the one that sent him to prison, and that is just the start of his revenge. Him marrying her sister and getting rid of her dad. Like, excuse me, sir, what? tell me you're not obsessed without telling me you're not obsessed, you know? Anyways, I would give this one a 4 out of 5 stars. It bounces back between the past and the present, and I must say that I enjoyed the past so much more than I enjoyed the present. The past leads you up to why she sent him to prison and what happened. So in Nightfall, there's this place called Black Church, and nobody knows where this place is located. It's a rehabilitation place, but for people who are very wealthy, they get sent there, and once they clean up their act and they give you the go ahead, then they return back to where they came from. This book follows Will. He was on a path of destruction because he did a lot of drugs, so they sent him here, and there's only men in this mansion. But one day this girl appeared, and her name is Emery. And what's ironic about this is that Emery is the girl that Will fell in love with when they were in high school. So it also has a past and present in this book. I would give this one a 3.85. Then I started reading the Darkverse series by Runix. The first and second book, which are The Predator and The Reaper, follow the same couple, and then the third book follows a different couple. I only read the first three. The first two books follow Tristan and Marana. They're both in rival mob families. Marana snuck into his house because she thought he had something of hers, but apparently he didn't. Marana is a little baddie and she knows how to defend herself. Her banter is chef's kiss. Tristan threatens her by telling her that he's going to kill her, but like ends up saving her every single time that she's in danger. Like, sir, be for real right now and just tell her that you love her already. Let me just read you one quote from this book. Are you ready? So it says, "No one else gets to kill you, Miss Vitalio. The last face you see before you die will be mine. When it comes to death, you're mine." Like, are you for real right now? We all know that you're lying and you're definitely not gonna kill her. I would give this one a 4.3. The Emperor follows Dante and Amara. Dante is supposed to be the next mafia ruler in his family. He is the heir. Amara's mom is the family's housekeeper. Amara got kidnapped when she was a teenager, but they were able to get her back. But obviously she still has trauma because of it. It's a forbidden friends to lovers romance. It was such a good read, and the other two books do not have dual POV. I would have liked to see Tristan's POV in certain scenes, or like just to have a different perspective, and it did not have that. But this book has both of their POVs, and it starts when they're very young and it shows them growing up and then flashes to the present, and it was so interesting to see how they were when they were little and how they were able to grow. I would give this one a 4.45 out of 5. I can't wait to finish reading the rest of the books in this series. So those were all the books that I read in January. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye!